Okay, this is Commissioner Toya. I would like to begin the Indigenous Commission meeting of Flagstaff. It is March 1st, 2023, and the time now is 12:02 p.m., and it is Wednesday. We will begin the meeting with someone, if they may, like to nominate themselves to do and say the land acknowledgement.
Commissioner Toya, let me go ahead and do roll call first.
Thank
Okay.
you, Rose.
All right. Commissioner Cuddy-Eye? Commissioner Cuddy-Eye, I don't see her. Hold on, maybe she's on the, there she is. All right. Commissioner Cuddy-Eye, are you here? She's here.
Yes. Oh, I'm here.
And then Commissioner Phillips? Commissioner Co-Chair Washington?
Present.
Commissioner Marks? And Co-Chair Toya is here. Commissioner Weathersby? Commissioner Whitehat?
I'm here.
Commissioner Yellowhair?
Recorded.
Yeah. And then Commissioner Marks just entered.
Thank you, Rose, for doing the roll call for us this morning or this afternoon. And if someone would like to read the land acknowledgement.
This is Joe Washington. I'll do it.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home.
Thank you, Joe. And we will move forward to item number 3, which is on the agenda as public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment at this time?
Commissioner Weathersby just joined the meeting as well.
Welcome, Commissioner Weathersby.
Yeah.
There's no one for public comment?
Thank you. At this time, we will move forward on to agenda item number 4, which is approval of minutes from February 1st, 2023. Minutes will be available at April 5th, regular meeting 2023. May I please have a motion to approve or move forward?
There's no minutes. It'll be available at next month's meeting.
Okay, we will then proceed as on the agenda, item number 5, which is general business. A, establish local designated for 2 holidays which have federal recognition designation. And as indicated on agenda number 5, item A, the Commission of Diversity Awareness, CODA, would like to provide a presentation and discuss support of local designation of 2 holidays which have federal recognition or designation. President Obama designated the day after Thanksgiving as the Native American Heritage Day. Resolution of 2009 and 2021, Juneteenth, National Independence Day, was designated as a federal holiday. CODA wants to submit a fair request for the designation of these holidays by the city and explore possible partnership with the Indigenous Commission.
And I'd like to go ahead and see if there's anyone here from CODA to present. I know one person was supposed to present, but she had patients and she wasn't able to get on, and I wasn't sure if Jean Toner was able to get another person to. I don't see anybody from CODA. But I did have a conversation with Jean, and just to share with you some of the reasons why she said what she did, or this is on the agenda. Maybe this is somebody. Oh, Kim's on. So hold on a second.
Thank you,
no,
Rose.
where'd she go? I don't see her anymore. I don't know what happened.
Well,
She
maybe
might
we can
jump.
give her some time, yeah, to get back on.
Yeah, let's give her a couple minutes. Maybe she can come back on. But it was a really interesting conversation that I had with Jean, which is the reason why they're on the agenda today. And I wanted to just, I had invited her to go ahead and have this opportunity to present. And I know she had to travel, I believe was back to Washington, D.C. because there was something that happened with her family and she needed to go back for that. So that was what was going on with Commissioner Toner from CODA. So let me see. Oh, great, Kim's on. You're on. So Kim, are you ready to present regarding this item? Just
Yes, I can say a few words about it. Jean is absolutely are working on making Juneteenth a city holiday as opposed to just a federal one. And so we're working on the wording for it to present to the city council so it can be recognized in the city of Flagstaff. And Jean came up with some really great wording. There are 3 of us that are putting together the narrative to present to the city council. And yeah, it will be Juneteenth as a day off recognized in the city. And I see that Bethany jumped on. So Bethany, did you have something to add to that?
I didn't hear everything that you were talking about. Sorry, I just missed that last part, or came in that last part.
No worries. I was just reviewing what we talked to Jean about at our last meeting, and it was about getting Juneteenth designated as a City of Flagstaff holiday, as opposed to it just being a federal holiday, and the narrative, the wording that we've worked on. So I haven't spoken to Jean since our last meeting and since our last correspondence. So I didn't know if you had more information concerning that.
Nope, you did it. That's it. I think that's it. No, I think it's been because of the loss that she had. It's been hard to communicate, and I think everyone's just really busy. So, yeah, we're working on finalizing that and hopefully getting it designated. But yes, you are on it, Kim.
Thanks. Cool beans.
Thank you for that information. The commission, or I feel, would be greatly appreciative once you get your finalized wording and all that to represent to the commission if you're interested, and we greatly appreciate that and support you also. And this is definitely something that we can focus on for the Native American Heritage Day, also becoming part of this.
Absolutely.
Bethany and Kim, do you have any knowledge also of the other day, the day after Thanksgiving as Native American Heritage Day? That resolution by Obama, President Obama at the time, and what your conversations were again around this?
Yeah, I believe it was the exact same thing with CODA, discussing that having that recognized as a City of Flagstaff holiday as well. And I'm on this as a representative of the Live Black Experience Project. So we have on the LBE side, we have always been supportive of the designation for Native American Heritage Day. So, and speaking to Jean, I'm not sure if you had a point of contact specifically for that, but we were looking at the wording for that as well. But we wouldn't be the main ones to present that to the city council.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just to add and tack onto that, what we had established, I think that it was Jean talking, I believe with Rose or somebody on this commission, felt like that it was appropriate for this commission, not CODA, to move forward with it, but we are in 100% support of moving forward with it.
Okay. I know when I researched it, this date, even the 2 dates, I think the message I received was that they were both federal holidays, but this one, the one after Thanksgiving, is not a federal holiday. So that was the only thing that I found about, and I'm not sure how that all works with it being just a designated day versus a federally recognized day, and how that would work within city designation or declaration or whatever it is that we might call it. So I guess there will probably be more discussion regarding that, but I think CODA's reason for this conversation was, is there a possible partnership within the Indigenous Commission to go forward with these 2 dates? And if there's anyone who has would like to discuss this, because this is under just this information about whether or not we want to do that. So I think the rest of commissioners need to weigh in on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. And with that being said, we can open the floor to any of the commissioners who would like to make a statement at this time.
I'll make a statement. I think it'd be helpful to review the wording that Juneteenth request is submitting, because it'll be very similar. I was just doing some research on my phone that it was passed as a civil recognized holiday the day after Thanksgiving, but definitely not a day off. But I think just having the resolution and the proclamation, whatever term they use, I think is significant, and both should be filed. And I think easily both would be accepted for sure.
Thank you, Councilmember Matthews. Commissioner Kudiai.
Commissioner Joe or Co-Chair Washington also had his hand up. Do you want to go, Joe?
Hello? I'm sorry. Trying to get to unmute myself. I think it's a logical process of that procedure that Commissioner Lori just suggested. I would agree with that. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kudiai. Commissioner Washington.
Thank you. Yes, I agree that we should support this. I think both of those days are important, and they should be recognized. I know the Juneteenth is informally celebrated in Flagstaff, and I support both Juneteenth as well as Native American Heritage Day being officially recognized by the city of Flagstaff.
Thank you, Commissioner Washington. Commissioner Weathersby?
Good afternoon. And I just wanted to also share my support for Juneteenth as a federal a recognition through the city as well as the Native American Heritage Day. And I appreciate you all making time to come and share that information with us. And condolences to our relative who lost a member in their family.
Thank you, Commissioner Weathersby. Commissioner Yellowhair?
Hello, yeah, to everybody. I agree as well. I think the implementation of both of these would be really great. I know NACA, this past year, we implemented Juneteenth as part of our calendar and, got a day off. But it was interesting because when they put it on the calendar, a lot of people were like, what is Juneteenth? And it was a real great opportunity, for everybody to get educated on it, and to learn how important Juneteenth is. To me, it was interesting because before I worked in NACA, I was living in Atlanta and working. And of course, in Atlanta, it's a huge deal, and there's a lot of events and things like that. So it was really cool to see that come this way. A lot of people at NACA just like, what is Juneteenth? But then here being able to get educated on it. So I'm all about this. And, I appreciate those of you putting effort into getting it implemented.
Thank you, Commissioner Yellowhair. Bethany Camp?
Hey, thank you. And I'm sorry I was running late. I had an issue with the client come up. As a commissioner with CODA, I know you guys probably already talked about this, but I wanted to say we're really working in support of Juneteenth as having more celebrations. I'm working on putting up a calendar on our CODA website that will give links to activities, to research, to different information to give awareness, because coming back to Flagstaff from Austin, Texas, Juneteenth was huge celebration in Austin. We have a very large African-American population, a lot of history around that holiday, being that it was first celebrated in Galveston. So I agree with Commissioner Yellowhair. We really want to work to celebrate that. And most importantly, too, I think with Native American Heritage Day, CODA really feels that Flagstaff, being so central to this community of Native Americans and all of the historical trauma that's gone down, and all of the microaggressions, other things that continue to be perpetuated against these populations, we want to have a day that celebrates Native American heritage in response to that national holiday. And it's really important, CODA feels, to be organized on this message in the language being submitted to the city of Flagstaff, that this would be part of reparations, in our opinion. And I think that's a really important piece of this that we would like to work with you and partner with you to add in to the language and the presentation on this, because there's been so much damage done. This would be a great way to repair and get some more information out that would be relevant to the community on this as a Heritage Day. So just wanted to throw that out there. I don't mean to step on the vote toes, but thank you for giving me a chance to add that information.
Thank you, Bethany Camp, for those supporting and encouraging words. Those are very heartfelt thoughts that you shared with us. And I appreciate the time and the work that you have put into these very important dates to us all as a community and people of this land. Thank you so much. And I have Council Member Matthews with her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Co-Chair. I just wanted to read something just to throw it out there. I was researching the American Indian Heritage Day on Wikipedia, and there was some criticism that I think just should be shared to make sure this is not an oversight. And the criticism of this day was, in addition to calling Thanksgiving the National Day of Mourning, some Native Americans believe it is poor taste for Native American Heritage Day to be on Black Friday, a day of excess and gluttony and greed and aggressive capitalism, which itself falls after a holiday that omits the murder and mutilation of natives, mourn the millions of indigenous people who died as a result of aggressive settler colonization. So that was pretty heavy criticism, and I just wanted to put that out there just to bring awareness to it, that that day of this day that we're talking about, the day after Thanksgiving, does come with some criticism. Now, whether we want to take that on or not, but I just wanted to make sure that was fully disclosed.
Thank you, Councilmember Matthews. Councilmember Kudiai, did you have your hand up again?
Well, it was for the first time, but I just saw it that I didn't take it back down. But now that Commissioner Matthews has mentioned that, I was thinking just that too. I was looking at the calendar, and it just hit me. That's called Black Friday, and I'm not a big shopper, so I don't get all into that. But you do make a lot of sense, or those thoughts were what I was thinking about as well, and I think it's something that we really need to think about as well. I wouldn't necessarily like to have a huge day of celebrating our heritage associated with something to where people are scrambling out for spending money, when we talk a lot about food insecurity and homelessness and, those types of things. So I just would like to put my thoughts out there that I would be one of those that would not like to have that day after Thanksgiving to be in recognition of a great celebration for Indigenous people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kudiai, for your opinion. And I have Commissioner Weathersby.
Thank you. I wanted to share that I appreciate the feedback from Councilmember Matthews, but also want to recognize that we are in a settler colonial state. And so by our being here, our African American relatives and our Indigenous relatives share our resilience and our survivance as part of being here. And so it's everything that we do can be tied to similar situations or conversations about our being here. And to have more time to share about who we are, our background, and that information continues the conversation rather than moving us out of the conversation of our true histories. I think there's opportunity to talk about why the capitalist society that we have, that we all reside in, how those things came to be, and having acknowledgement of Juneteenth as part of that, and the enslavement, and how even that was I believe it was a year after the emancipation. And so thinking about that and thinking about our relatives, our Indigenous relatives who have also been navigating the settler colonial state, it's important that those histories are included in our conversations. And so they're established because even, as we talk about Indigenous Peoples Day, right, the same day, then there's also recognition of Italian Heritage Month. And, and thinking about, Columbus and the atrocities that they did to our communities. And so I think having these conversations with the city of Flagstaff, but also with one another, is important to our continued well-being, and sharing these histories and formalizing these shared histories is important for our next generations, for the youth to know. Because without those conversations, then it just becomes different things like Black Friday, um, or even, Thanksgiving, right? So having the continued conversation and renaming and reclaiming our space and place in time is also something that I think that we should be considerate of.
Thank you, Commissioner Withersby, for your comment. It's greatly appreciated. Are
So,
there, go
oh,
ahead, Rose.
sorry, sorry. This is Rose. And just taking my hat off as a city employee, I think I would have to say that this partnership with CODA is really important. And the part of reclaiming is very important, whether it be to dates, whether it be to space, whether it be to just our own self identity. That reclaiming is important. And you know, the President Obama, however he received this information, and to do this kind of alongside Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving, that kind of situation, is that, you know, it's a good time to talk about what Thanksgiving really is to Indigenous people, and then also what that meant for what it is about the day of mourning, and then as well as just reclaiming another day to speak the truth about Indigenous people. And that's the kind of the way I look at it. So that's just my own personal opinion. And but I do want to just get just if co-chair can see what we can do about whether our commissioners are willing to co-partner with these 2 days so that they can stand as two commissions presenting to City Council on these 2 dates.
Thank you, Rose, for your statement. I appreciate you. And I believe Commissioner White Hat has something she'd like to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Toya. I just, being unfamiliar with the whole process of getting federal or even civil holidays approved, I'm throwing it out there. Could we not request the day before Thanksgiving? So we don't run into the complication of the affiliation with Black Friday and colonialism and capitalism. And it's, I think, a good way to bring about the history as well as maybe preparing the Flagstaff community as well as our own communities to take a moment to remember, recognize what the holiday is, the history behind it, the importance of reclaiming it. At least to me, I think it would create more of a conversation to have a holiday like that before the Thanksgiving holiday, because I'm always just very uncomfortable having Thanksgiving in general, and it's I guess as a method of making this, if not this holiday, but this time of the year conversation. If there are any ways of making this something that the community celebrates as a whole and not just the city of Flagstaff offices. Um, I mean, like Juneteenth, for example, not many people knew about it. It was a holiday in some cases for some people, and they enjoyed the day off, but they didn't understand the history behind it or the reasoning of the holiday. And I think there are a number of other holidays that kind of go unnoticed and are just appreciated for the day off, but it's not celebrated or communicated in um, a big way to the community. I mean, for example, like we have KNAU, so we could ask KNAU. We have the Daily Sun. We have local radio stations. I think there are other ways to also bring this awareness in the community of that holiday instead of just kind of keeping it more within closed circles or small circles to um, recognize and be aware of the holiday. So that's just my thought, is maybe the day before, if that is an option, or if that's difficult, then maybe not. And then if that does move forward, maybe putting together a larger effort to make it a community day of recognition or celebration instead of just, um, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner White Hat. Everyone's expression and their opinion is always appreciated. Um, and I would like a moment to speak on all the experience and work that I've been able to engage with here in Flagstaff. It's been about 5 years, and for something like this, very important to come to the table and to have other supporting organizations and people is a work in progress. We have become an organization alongside with other groups here in Flagstaff, and our work has been lengthy and long, but I feel like now we're finally getting some light, and we should be open to making this become a reality for not just ourselves, but for our future generations. And because I have children, and I want to do the work that is going to be always a hard journey for any of our relatives. So I just want to say that I strongly support working in partnership with anybody that would help benefit our community, our people, because we also are stewards of this land. Thank you. Kim Robinson.
Right. Yeah, I think for the folks that are asking for a different day, I think you clarified that we're asking for the city of Flagstaff to celebrate Native American Heritage Day on a different day other than the federal holiday. And I can see this very positively, that it extends past the city of Flagstaff, and it could actually affect other Northern Arizona cities that could follow suit. What I also love about that idea is that it reminds people of American history, of Indigenous history. And with Black History Month, like I say, I've been very busy for Black History Month because um, Black History Month is always, I call it, oh yeah, they're a Black people month. And people get reminded, and then you have all your things in February. And I tell people that, we're Black all the other months as well. So we don't need everything collectively in one month. And what I love about having the national holiday in November and perhaps a City of Flagstaff holiday in another month is that it keeps the tribal name out there, it keeps Indigenous history out there, and it brings it up more than once a year. So I fully support that. I can understand both sides, but I think whatever we can do to keep Indigenous history and the continuing impact that it has on Northern Arizona in the Four Corners area out there would be really amazing.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate that. Commissioner Washington?
So I've heard that maybe we should consider a different day. I don't know if there's any particular choice of a different day. I would be amenable to that. There's the same about it being a federal holiday, and on a specific day, we talked about the concerns about that being Black Friday and the association with Thanksgiving, and so and then but it was suggested that maybe it should be associated with Thanksgiving as kind of a counterpoint, because what the image of Thanksgiving is kind of a misrepresentation in terms of what was done to Indigenous people, and it wasn't as rosy as that. And putting it the day before Thanksgiving would be making a statement, and I'm in favor of that. But if we are going to have it on a different day, I think we need to have a consensus about what that day is, and so we may need to talk about that. But I'm seeing that I'm not opposed to having it on the designated federal holiday, but I think that if we want to make that further statement, which is an important statement to make, I think we should consider it on a different day. And so, but in any event, I applaud CODA's emphasis on having these days recognize Juneteenth and a Native American Heritage Day, and I believe we should support that in some way, and proceed with joining them with having the two holidays designated by the city of Flagstaff. But as I say, we may need more discussion and designation of what the day would be.
Thank you, Commissioner Washington, for kind of summarizing that all up for us. Is there anyone else at this time?
Co-chair, we probably should move on to, it sounds like everybody's in support of doing this, and it sounds like there is support to partner with CODA. So we can just make sure that it's confirmed.
Yes, thank you for that. And so we can move forward to agenda item number 6A, Federal EPA Grant Opportunity on Resilience Hub Concept. Jenna Ortega with the Sustainability Office will discuss a federal grant opportunity from the EPA. The city is applying for a grant to create resilience hubs, which are community serving facilities that support residents in times of crisis while also providing year-round services. Ms. Ortega will describe the resilience hub concept and will seek feedback from commissioners on how they think these hubs can best serve Flagstaff residents. If interested, commissioners can learn more about Resilience Hub here, and there's a link shared. I saw Jenna here. Thank you, Jenna, for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner Toya. Thank you all for having me. Good afternoon.
it's a big opportunity for me to be able to share this space with you and ask for your input. So I really appreciate it. I am a member of the Sustainability Office, and Jenny Neiman is also here with me today, and I had to leave town for an emergency, so I've asked her to interrupt me at any time if I am not making sense, and I invite all of you to do the same as well. So my plan was to offer a little information about the grant and about the concept of resilience hubs. And then I would love to ask for the commission's input and feedback and any direction they would be willing to share with us. So I will get started, but yes, I'll try to make space for questions, and I hope to have a wonderful conversation with you all. So this federal grant opportunity came to us recently, and we decided to pursue it. It is a $1 million grant to be able to support a resilience hub in Flagstaff, which I'll get into what that could look like. And this is a federal grant that's being offered through the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA. And it's part of their environmental justice government to government program. So it's specifically for local governments. So before we haven't started writing the grant, and before we do so, we're working on trying to identify community partners. This might be organizations or businesses or institutions in Flagstaff that would be willing to go into this grant as a partnership with us. And we're still very much in the exploratory phase, including working with our city's codes and rules and all that fun stuff for how legally this will also look. So all that part is still getting figured out, but I'm here today just to get some input. And so resilience hubs, at their very core, are what you'd consider, I call them enhanced community centers. They can be so many things, and no two should ever or probably will ever look the same. And so they use a physical space. It should be a building, but also it's great to try to utilize any surrounding infrastructure. The best place is something that's already established, that's already trusted in the community, and where residents can access resources, materials, and support year-round, but also really increase community and that ability to adapt when things are changing in our town. And so this could, examples might be a community center, a recreational center, or even a big like multifamily housing building, and maybe a vacant lot next to it where people can also use that space. And so their purpose is to serve the community and to support people, and they can also coordinate how we can distribute resources and services. And so most of the year they would function in what you might consider like a normal mode, but they're also intended to be able to act as centers for preparedness and response and recovery during any sort of disasters or crisis that might be happening. And so the reason they're open year round is because we know that it's better to invest in individuals and neighborhoods and communities before a disruption, so they can be a space for that as well. And so we know a building might require upgrades to be able to become this resilience hub. And those upgrades should really be, of course, identified by community members, but also being able to make sure that they can provide critical services during the event of a disruption. So they need to be able to provide access to cooling. They should be able to have food and tools and resources, water. They should be able to distribute information during all times, but especially during times of an emergency. And access to basic health and medical supplies. And so they're really used to be able to meet community goals, whatever that might be. And that's why they never look the same, because different communities are going to have different needs and goals. And so during other times, they can have training programs and health services, places to grow food, places to process food. And they're also meant to be able to build community power. They shouldn't be led or necessarily like owned and all the control in the local government. All the power should be in the community. And so they can be supported by local governments, or maybe a local government goes for a grant, but the community is really the ones that should have all the control and power in a true resilience hub. And I see Jenny here too. Jenny, did you want to add anything about resilience hubs? And we can also take questions too.
No, I think you got it. Thanks, Jenna.
Okay, and so I didn't want to give a ton of information because the next thing will be that I want to ask what you might envision a resilience hub in this community to be. But if there are any questions on kind of that basic concept, I can definitely answer them now. And sorry, I haven't caught up with the chat either, if there's anything.
Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you so much. Hi, Jenna and Jenny. How are you? So what you're describing so far sounds very similar to our shelters and the mission. And I know manning those facilities can be quite burdensome. So I'm just curious, is this a duplication? Because again, we may not have any, we can pray that we don't have any natural disasters for a couple of years, and then we might have a year where we have, forest closures and fires and flood and everything else where people need emergency places to go. And I know that besides the shelters, they open up, school gym, auditoriums and stuff. So I'm just curious of what, outside of those emergency responses, what other services could be different and provided to the community?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Councilmember Matthews. It's a great question. And I think it could be somewhat duplicative only of places that do great things like those, but it's also meant to take the burden off of those places, including other services. So I think duplication in a good way, maybe to reduce the burden, but throughout the year, the list is endless. And I think, again, goes back to what the community needs. I'd be happy, to provide examples, but also to make sure that we are getting input from the community. So other places have done things like job trainings, having healthcare workers be able to come there one day a week and provide those services that are needed. They can be access to job trainings or all sorts of other classes. They could have commercial kitchens. So I want to ask, that's my next question, is what would everyone in this room envision that those maybe features and services might be? But yeah, I think they can be endless depending on what the community identifies. Did that answer your question? Okay, go ahead, Jen.
If I can add, and hi folks, I'm Jenny Neiman, the Climate Program Manager. Thanks so much, Councilmember Matthews. It's something we think about a lot, right? Of like, is this duplicating? And I think that, what we have kind of come to is that any kind of replication is can be a strength, right? And as you point out, right, we have warming shelters, right, that have opened up, in the last couple of weeks, right? There was a warming shelter at Sanawa last week, and I think the idea is that these places would all really work together, right, to be working together. And so we will be working really closely with emergency management to kind of talk to them as well, right, as well as with the shelter. We've started to engage in conversations with them and really just about how we can support, right, and I think kind of yeah, thanks, City Manager Clifton, right? The idea is, how do we, bring these services closer into the community, right, as well, and so that it's a place that they know. A place we talk about a lot is Hal Jensen Recreation Center. We've talked about that as a possible resilience hub because it's so embedded in the community, right? Folks know Hal Jensen, they know Crystal, right? They know Tyrone, they know the folks that are there, and how can we actually make what already in some ways is a resilience hub, how can we actually make that facility stronger, right? And make it so that they have advanced HVAC or emergency backup power, right? So that folks can go there if, let's say, Sunnyside lost power. And so in some ways, it's about looking at what's already in our community and actually strengthening that.
Any other questions?
This is Councilmember Toya. I'm sorry, Commissioner Toya, and I do have a question. I work at Pathways to Community, located at the Coconino County Jail, and we service a lot of people, and not only community members, but people who are just passing through or are homeless. And so, with that being said, my need at you know at work during sometimes are having other resources, and with that being said is just having a warm place to go for the night, some some food, because a lot of times the shelters are there, but we have individuals who are not drinking, who are not on any kind of drugs. And so, I would really like to see, there be a safe place for these individuals to go should they not choose the shelter. And so that's one thing that I would like to, join with someone, an organization to provide that service. And then also, just having an alternative. They get so used to utilizing these same services, and same with the workers. I think having another additional place for these services would be beneficial, because it'll allow some change in environment, some change in services, so that way we can still encourage and help the community members that need these guides in their path of life. Thank you.
You, Commissioner. And I did put in the chat too, kind of my general question, and I know we are getting short on time, but I can also, if you have ideas or want to talk, we would love to hear them. And, tomorrow we are having a meeting with a bunch of potential community partners that we invited to ask the same question. And so if you have ideas on other partners or any of the services, we can take them now, but we will continue to take them for as long as you're willing to offer them to us as well.
Yeah, and if I can just, add one other thing, we are trying to start these conversations about resilience, right? And what our community needs in terms of community resilience for this grant, but also on a long-term basis, right? And we have really, begun that conversation with, certain groups and communities. And, we want to continue that conversation. So we will be back, whether it is about this specific grant or, long-term as well, right? Just thinking about community resilience and how we help I think we've talked a lot about existing resources here, right? How we help folks better use those, and how we create connections to not have duplication, right? But to have a stronger community.
Thank
Is
you
it
so
okay
much.
if I offer a comment, Chair? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I need to exit to another meeting soon, but I want to offer a comment here, and I'm going to go against the grain. Forgive me in advance for doing that, Jenna and Jenny, because I think there's very good intentions underlying what you're proposing. But I'll share with you this. Over the last couple of years, there has been a tremendous amount of public dialogue about a facility that the city would be a major stakeholder in to provide services as an alternative to the other services that now exist within our organization, Flagstaff Shelter, Catholic Charities, and a number of others. It sparked a very large debate, and the debate was very much centered on duplicity and unnecessary competition, and whether it was a prudent use of resources when those resources are arguably already within the community. And while I do not want to go down the road of suggesting why somebody in need of a shelter would choose one place rather than another, because I'm not an expert on that, I just want to share with you that was a very difficult discussion, and not one that I would care to go through again. And the scars are still fresh from that. We have retreated from that idea, and I'm speaking specifically of a facility that was attached to our care unit. We had an update on the care unit, the care program last night with council, and talking about the many successes of that program in its first year. But the one success that did not occur was having an actual facility to serve as a place for people to go to. And again, we heard loudly from our service providers in the community those resources already exist, and the city did not have business entering into that service. So I just want to share that with you, because even though this is very much being couched in terms of resiliency, I'm listening closely, and it sounds an awful lot of like the discussion we've already had. And I just want to put that caution out there. This will not be well received by everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, City Manager Clifton, and I really appreciate it. And I, I think there's a lot of conversation in the chat too, and I want to be clear. This is, first of all, we're at a kind of blue sky place, but also, we see this as a really, really broad-based conversation around, right, from Hal Jensen, right, to libraries, right, to what they might look like, to Coconino Community College, and we want it to be able to serve all populations. So there is that conversation. But thank you so much, City Manager Clifton, for the background and context. I think it's really helpful.
Thank you all. Did anyone have any other questions or comments?
I did see that one of the commissioners said they would like to be invited to the meeting tomorrow, and we can make sure that that invitation goes out to all of you. Daryl, it is, I believe, the meeting that we've already chatted a little bit about, so I think you're there, but we'll make sure that all of the commissioners have that invitation.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to have the link also.
Absolutely.
We can move forward to agenda item number 7, informational items 2 from commission members, staff, and future agenda item requests. Councilmember Matthews.
Thank you, Co-Chair Toya. The first meeting I think I attended, there was a discussion on having some sort of arts and crafts fair to the Indigenous community. Is that being further discussed? Because I think it's just, I remember my experience in Santa Fe, and it was just so wonderful and well received, and so many people in the Native community showed up with just all their various talents and stuff. And I just don't want that to fade away. I think it'd be a great opportunity. And I was reminded last night when one of our staff members spoke about how many permits are being pulled for different activities and stuff. And I just wondered if we were still pursuing that, or that was just an idea that faded away.
Thank you, Councilmember Matthews. Rose, is that something we can get on an agenda item for our next meeting?
Yes, but I'd like to go ahead and share an update on that. We did meet with Naka, Dorothy, Danette Sosi, Gishi, and then also Pearl Sosi and Jessica from the Visitors Center. And there is movement towards another round of that Indigenous market for, I think it's starting in like April 1st through sometimes in October. And that's going to encompass, I believe, every weekend and some days on Friday. And then depending on holidays, maybe a Monday as well. So those are in the talking stages, but in the planning stages that are moving forward. There has also been another indication that maybe there might be a further partnership later on with the market that's held at the old courthouse parking lot. I can't remember what the name of that market is, but that won't happen until probably next year. So those are some things that are being talked about right now. But I can follow up further for the one that's current, that's going to start in April.
Thank you, Rose. Does that satisfy your question, Councilmember Matthews? Thank you.
Do you still want that on the agenda, or just an update?
The update's nice. I believe we can share a little more information with everyone about the program. Is that okay, Rose?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other future agenda items, requests? Okay, it doesn't seem like that there are any other requests at this time. So we can move forward to item number 8 on the agenda, which is adjournment of the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
You just adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Rose. The meeting has been adjourned at 1:03 p.m. March 1st, Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for coming.